Gracie Floyd, and today I'm going to be talking about vaccinations and why they should not be required or highly recommended to most of the general public. Some of the reasons that they should not be required are the long-term and short-term effects that they may cause, and then some people have religious values and beliefs that lead them to not want to get these vaccinations put into their body or their children's body, and some people are uneducated and do not take time or research to know what is actually being put into their bodies. And other people may feel forced, or with these highly recommended vaccines, they may just go ahead and do it without knowing the real causes and effects that it is going to have. So, the first topic is the long and short-term effects that these vaccines have. Obviously, everyone's body is different, and people are going to react differently to different medications and vaccines being put into their body. So, vaccines haven't even always been around long enough for doctors or pharmacists to know the true long-term effects, and sometimes not even the short-term effects. For example, in COVID-19, many people were told to get the vaccine when they didn't even know for sure the long-term effects that they were going to hold, but they were still highly recommended to get them. So, some of the known long-term effects of certain vaccines are asthma and lung damage, immune-mediated cancer, year-round allergies, brain damage or deafness, or fatigue and headaches. This can happen to a grown adult or a child. So every person's body is different, and that is just going to have a completely different change on everyone. Now in this chart, we can see that there are definitely more negative than positives when it comes to vaccines being inserted into people's bodies. Some people are neutral and have no effect, but some people do have negative effects, and that is the majority. The next topic I'm going to be discussing are religious values and beliefs. So many people believe different things and follow different religions. So when it comes to vaccines and what they should put in their child or their body, they believe in different things that come from the Bible or the books that they believe in. So some of these religious beliefs are divine and healing and providence. This means that God's will is going to determine their health and wellness. And they believe that the power of prayer should be what decides that for them, not a medication or a vaccine. A second religious belief is the sanctity of the body. They say that our body is a sacred temple and doesn't need unnatural or foreign substances inserted within. And then the other religious belief that they have is a moral behavior. Some people do not let their children get any vaccines that relate to sexually transmitted diseases because they believe that their child is not going to be protecting in these anyways because of their religion. So they say that it is pointless for them to be doing it anyways. And then I have a quote from the Library of Medicine that says, "Vaccines have been linked to sudden infant death syndrome, pediatric asthma, autism, inflammatory bowel disease, and permanent brain damage." This just shows that this will have different effects on people, and some people just aren't sure that they need to get them. So now I'm going to move on to the topic of undereducated people and their beliefs and their values on required vaccines. So, like I said earlier, during COVID-19, the doctors came out with a vaccine for it. The people in the medical fields and the teaching fields were required to get this vaccine. So this made the undereducated people see that they thought they should get them as well. Now, since the doctors and people in the teaching field had to get them, they were not allowed to go back to work until they got this vaccine. So the people that were undereducated believed that they were okay to put that in their body and their children's body. But since this vaccine hadn't been around long enough, it actually did have long-term and short-term effects that negatively affected a lot of them. So, next I'm going to be moving on to when the same thing happens, when mothers hear from doctors that most newborns and infants get certain vaccines. They just go ahead and give them to their baby as well, since they think that every other parent does. So when people don't do their own research on vaccines, they're just following everyone's footsteps. And oftentimes in life, this leads to hardships, and it does not end with a good outcome. In this chart, we can see that vaccines have a bunch of regulations, and they have many factors that come with them. So it is never going to be good to just follow what everyone else is doing without being properly educated on each system. Everyone has their own beliefs, opinions, thoughts, and voices, and they should be heard in every circumstance. In conclusion, vaccinations should not be required, and parents should always have a choice on what goes in their body or does not go in their body. This happens for children too. Children need a say, but that say comes from their parents. So education on long-term and short-term effects, religious beliefs and values, and discoveries need to be more talked about. Vaccines should not be required or highly recommended when everyone needs to have a say and understanding of what is going in their body and when it is. Thank you so much.